2.25 hours they've been competing for. 3 to go. Hannah Rott. .7 in with 2.5.
The dive's getting more difficult, and there was the evidence that 2.7 inward 2.5 somersault, really stretching Rott, and this is likely to be one of her weaker marks from the judges. Not score, she still scores 35, but only 4s, 4.5s across the board.
It's been a bit of a battle for her. Catherine Torrance. 2.8 forward, 3.5 in 5th place. Knows she's well on course to be back again for tonight's finale. No glaring errors there. Just keep diving steadily. Need to go for broke, keep some discipline.
She looked genuinely a little bit surprised at that. Not quite sure what reaction to make, but a score of in the 60s. She's got to be happy with that.
Gudauskaitė from Lithuania. Probably been at the far extremes of her levels here. She has been to the diving Grand Prix this year and European Championships, representing one of the less strong nations, gives her the entry tickets.
And that's the quickest way to learn, competing with these athletes a bit stronger than you might be. Really have the chance to learn how to up your game.
And those who don't make the final go away motivated to push on, not deflated to think they're not quite at the top level. Not everyone can win gold by any means or make the top level. Need competition right the way through. Ultimately, they're all diving against themselves. Lecœur.
Well, Lecœur really diving against herself, because she knows that she won't have an opportunity to compete again in the final unless there's some disasters later on. We can never say never when it comes to diving. We've seen enough over the last few days to know that, but I think scoring 4.5s at this late stage will not be enough.
Julia Logantin. Scruffy. 15th, so she doesn't want to leave herself with too much to do. Keep in the hunt here. Lydia Rosenthal, 6th. To keep up Great Britain's strong performance over these 4 days of diving.
That was quite a challenging dive. Her only entry at 3.0. Forward 2.5 somersaults with that one twist added in. Really pushing herself, but only scoring 5.5s and at 1.6.
Jana Szelestiuk wanting to keep her medal collection nice and full. second. 2.5 somersault, 1 twist, it's a 3.0.
Well, she's got 2 bronze medals to take home with her from Baku. She'll be hoping to make another medal, and I'm sure in her mind preferably gold or silver in colour.
Sam Nagy of France, just a 2.4 here, 2.4, 2.3, 2.4. Her 3 remaining dives, just reflecting of where she is in her career. No point coming out here with an ambitious program. It's all about moving up and taking on the bigger challenges when you know you've got a good chance of delivering.
Well, the coaches are very conscious not to try and teach their divers to run before they can walk. You need the basics, and this competition is helping develop those so much, especially with those 5 compulsory dives we see early on. It really is drilling in the importance of making the easy dives look so perfect.
You could run or walk on the pool, it's still pretty impressive. Natasha McManus to do a little bit of walking on water to get in the top 12. She's 18th. Still 3 to go for her, back 2.5.
Well, it looks like she does still need some sort of miracle.
Down in the 5s.
Being told to take her time. Interesting advice from the Irish coach.
Madeleine Cocus. Now, she's the one they're all trying to catch, or the bottom half bar. She's 12th. As a forward 3.5 somersault with a 2.8 degree. All her dives are 2.8 remaining.
And not quite managing to get her knees extended by the time she hit the water.
That tuck's position, she just couldn't quite come out of it enough. Got to get yourself into that little ball of action, then stretch right out quickly, which didn't quite happen. As the scores show. The authoritative figure of Louisa Stauczynski, just steadily going about her work, moving through the gears, reverse 1.5 somersault, 2.5 twists, 2.9.
Considering she's one of the more experienced and successful divers, she's not actually pushing herself into any dive that makes a 3 or higher in difficulty.
Just not as tidy as she has been, just a little dip in form there, down to the 5.5s. She can rectify that. Maja Boric. 2.8, back 2.5. Down the pecking order. Again, not really getting herself into the right entry position.
Well, that's the last dive at 2.8 for Boric. She's going to lessen the difficulty on her final 2. She'll be hoping to impress the judges a little bit more. previous dive was only 2.3s and 2.5s and 3s from the judges, so surely this has got to be a little improvement on that.
It's a bit delay.
Looks like we're having a few technical issues. The judges are just sharing their score with the officials down on the ground.
And on the left is a 60 centre.
They need to get out their manual numbers. Oh, still pretty low for Borich.
Wouldn't have bothered really, not for a 3.5. I'd have just said forget it. You don't want to know. It was by far and away the lowest of the marks. I'm sure. Seen on your screen, yeah? Look at that. Told you she shouldn't have bothered. They discounted it anyway.
Well, that was a very tight score, you could call it.
Vivian Bath, 8th. Let's keep this going. Don't think so.
Well, after that, she's going to have to get it going, because the score that's going to follow that performance is quite likely to drop her out of the qualifying position, that crucial top 12. 19.5, 2s, 2.5s.
Her heart's racing. Oh no, have I blown it? Okay, Bill's 16th. We'll be looking for mistakes from those higher, so she can cash in perhaps with 2.5 somersault, 2.7. Do your bit, worry about everybody else afterwards.
Well, she's keeping her scores, well, her degrees of difficulty modest. She needs to really shine in the performance. Feet really not pointed in that tuck. She looked like she was still wearing her boots. Judges only awarding 5.5s.
From Georgia, Tamar Sichanava. Pressed up a little bit without really threatening to get into the final, but it might give her some encouragement. Just a 2.5 degree of difficulty on that.
That started to go wrong from the takeoff. When you get the replay of her feet, you'll see that they weren't parallel on the board. Here we go. Look at that, 1 foot behind the other. Yes, she needs to twist, but she started twisting too early and as a result entered the water at an angle that the judges will have noticed. 33.75.
Belyhurskaya from Belarus. She's 10th. This is 2.8, the back 2.5 somersault.
Oh, she was getting there, and that last bit as her knees to toes went through the water, she just couldn't quite compensate enough to keep it as clean as she needs.
She's 15 years of age, looking to get into the final and was going well, but that's pulled her back.
We really are seeing a mixture of scores now, but here's someone who we are less likely to see the mistake from, but she's got another 3.0 difficulty.
Maria Polikova, the leader of the pack from Russia. Well, even she's starting to allow the errors to creep in.
But gosh, is she pushing herself. Her 4 dives that are optional and optional of scoring are all 3.0 in difficulty. So unless she makes some major mistake, even scoring 5.5s, she's still scraping into the 50s.
Laura Granelli. was again I was going to say a bit of a stretch, but the problem was it wasn't a bit of a stretch.
It was a bit of a heart in mouth. See how close her toes were to the edge of that board. And I think the coach had a little moment there as well.
54.60, she managed to salvage from it. Frida Kallgren of Sweden. Seventh place, 2.8. Just keep your head.
Well, she's an athlete who's playing it relatively safe. Her next two dives after this, also 2.8s, the 53.2. Nothing spectacular, but nothing disastrous either.
House, bit off the pace. A 2.9 reverse 1.5 somersault, 2.5 twists here. Really could do with pretty decent score from it. Under a bit of pressure. Better.
It's interesting how some divers make a move like that look easy. Others, you're left sort of watching, holding your breath. And that was one that didn't look quite as flowing as some of the higher level divers would make it.
Lorena Tomiek, ranked 21 in with 2.5 somersaults. Giving the water a bit of a smack.
She's building up her difficulties. She's got two to finish that are, in theory, harder than that.
The 5.5s. Ellen Eck.
Oh, it looked tidy. She's really not shining, but she's being consistent. And again, still sixes. It seems to be about where she is today.
Dominika back again, one of those chasing. Going to be tight. It's going to be a anxious session for them. Just these divers outside the final places are just a little so-so at the moment. Need something just to up their game and come out and grab it. Pikovskaya getting a good, encouraging round of applause for Azerbaijan. trot nice and vertical. Six. Right on the edge. Kaja Skrzek from Poland. Got a 2.7 here. 3 dives left in her locker. Trying to move up the pack. Bit untidy again, just someone to come in there and really do a clean job and grab a few extra marks.
Toes are beautifully pointed during the tuck. She didn't come out of it quite as well.
Herself at that, Ekbrasova. She's in 3rd place.
Well, that's the second dive we've seen from her, looking a little less tidy. Scoring 6s on her last one. Could be a similar score again.
Gone round the back and had a couple of espressos, I think. Just sort of jumped her up a bit. And Tuxen. Wasn't bad.
She opened up nicely from that tuck. Got the extension, the body tension the judges are looking for.
I know it's a competition and everybody wants to be trying to get those medals, but just get a feeling you want people to do well and do themselves justice, and then they are where they are. Margarita Jusova is just a little bit off her own standards here, down in 11th. Not irredeemable. 3.0.
That won't be helping her situation. Feet weren't parallel, weren't close together as she entered. She came out of the pike position. One leg in front of the other.
That's not very good at all. Expected better. I'm sure she did. Right, where are we going with all this? Polikova again leading out. Shelestiuk, Catherine Torrance, Russia, Ukraine, Great Britain showing strongly, and Germany. Stelchinski moving up into a decent position. Italy, Granelli doing smartly there. Frida Karlgren as well, consistent. This is the big caption coming up next. Right, Skrzek, Belihurskaya from Belarus, Logantin, the second Italian, Ertinghaus clinging on, but look, 0.5, Kokus just back there, 272s, 270 down there to Vils. That's only 2.5 points, 273.35 they're chasing. Testing my maths, this. Tuxen, well, 10 points down to Tomiek, so even did the scouting. We have a complete bomb in one of them, then somebody could slide out of the reckoning and give an opening, so There is significant competition going on here for a place in that final. It'll be a big night tonight with the men's 10 metres as well, and everybody wants to be part of the closing show. It's going to be the Cinderella then, and miss the ball. And the rock might be outside, nose pressed up against the glass. 28th.
Down in the fours, 4.5 for her previous dive. She improved on that. Looked like she struggled to get her arms exactly together. Tiny improvement.
Catherine Torrance going well. Third, 2 to go. Needs to keep the car on the road. Doesn't need to take the corners too fast. Reverse 2.5, 2.8 then. Cruising safely along the yellow line down the middle of the road. That going encouragingly here. Just the job, 3 sevens. Skyti has battled on down in 22nd, which doesn't sound great, but not miles behind. Should be a bit further after that though. Cut out the mistakes, that's what it's all about. All good. Sinking the putts from 12 and 14 feet, if you then stand up and smack one straight in the trees. Keep it on the fairway, these girls, and they'll be all right.
Well, that's one of the easier dives we've seen in quite a long time. Putting in a 2.0 reverse 1.5 somersault. Showing that she's not quite up to the standard of chasing those positions in the final.
Coaches will be working towards putting together a program, something they can sustain, as Julia Rogentin needs to do here. 11th with a back 2.5 somersault, 2.8. Not a lot of margin for error. And there we get one.
Well, Rogentin has not really had any wonderful scores from the judges, but had managed to creep up through the leaderboard due to mistakes from some of the others. And now it looks like she's joining them.
32-20. Sort of a body blow, that. Not me, thinks Lydia Rosenthal. Can't be doing that at this stage of the game. Reverse 2.5 somersault, 2.8. Nicely done.
Well, it is at this late stage of the competition where keeping the nerve, not being overconfident by seeing others mess up or feeling the pressure from it, just keeping in your own zone.
She was spotted on a talent identification program when she was in primary school. see who's good at gymnastics and got all the ingredients. Like Diana Shelestiuk, the Ukrainian is second at the moment, 3.0. She's got room to spare, hasn't she?
We're not seeing anything special coming from this penultimate round at the moment.
Well, they're beginning to flag now. We'll be coming up to 2 3/4 hours of diving. That is a test. Messam Nagy.
Talking about talent ID, France is one country that doesn't actually allow selection from primary schools. So in Great Britain, they can go into primary schools and identify things that make potential strong divers. It's not the same in France.
Good knowledge. It's 32.20 here. Natasha McManus, 19th, back 1.5 somersault, 2.5 twist. Just trying to move up to the next level.
She almost looked to be twisting whilst she entered the water with her feet. She is. She's at an angle as she makes the entry.
Adeline Kokus chasing a place in the final. 13th. That's the point behind she was, so everything to dive for. This audience is very well behaved. The announcer, the early stages of the diving, has felt it necessary to remind them to keep quiet, put the cameras away, no flash. But everybody giving the competitors a chance, always being taken, mind. Look out, there's a gold medalist about, Louisa Stachinski. Goes through her routine. But her kit bag's nice and tidy, everything in its place. Has that sort of very planned approach to it. Only when she's ready.
Well, that's an improvement on her last dive. Judges have to think so, surely. 5.5 on the previous.
She's ticking it all off in her mind. Maybe that's why when she's won her medals, she's been so emotive, because she's got it all under control and bottled up there. Maria Boric.
.7 difficulty, that inward 2.5 somersault. highest scores yet.
Vivian Bart. She had a complete nightmare with her last dive. Desperately trying to get her show back on the road here with a 2.8 forward 3.5 somersault. She's struggling at the moment to hold her act together. What a shame for her.
Well, if she'd really got this one right, she still had a chance of climbing back up the places. We've seen how close it is. I think that could be the final nail.
Doors open for someone. Maybe Daphne Vils. 16th. Back 2.5 somersault, 2.8. Looking for a second final appearance here in Baku. Messy. Quite a bit messy, in fact. 35 points. Nope, couldn't cash in. Just getting that sort of late morning sag in their diving where they've been at it for ages and now they're just trying to get over the line. Well, Sichinava at the opposite end of the scale to Stalczynski, who's not prepared to be rushed. She got straight up and was into it. Velihurskaya has steadily worked her way up, and now she is 10th. Reverse 2.5 somersault, 2.8. Oh, that went absolutely to pieces. She's in despair before she's even hit the water.
Oh, I don't want to watch this again. It looks painful as well.
Especially to her pride. Just completely ran out of space. What a shame for her. Well, look at that, just about troubles the scoreboard. 5.6. It's the only single figure total we've had in 3.5 days, apart from the 0, of course. What a shame. Maria Polikova miscomposed. Well, even the leader at this stage is just getting a little bit untidy. Nothing disastrous, but not great at all. Angle actually isn't too clever. Judges being pretty harsh there, obviously expecting more, as she does. Now, is it catching? Laura Granelli, 8th. This little section has some divers all in, looking for the final.
Well, it seems like there's something in the water. This penultimate round is just taking its toll on some of these divers. As they start to get a little bit tired, they start to feel the pressure.
Oh, no, they've all gone a bit, haven't they? 30-80. Somebody's got to get their act and hold it together. Frida Kalgren, can she show them how to do it? Reverse 2.5 somersault, 2.8. She's in 7th place. Somebody's going to benefit from all this tension they seem to be showing. better, but not really seeing the best here, are we?
Well, she's not shown anything exceptional today, but she has been one of those consistent divers. A little bit under her consistency with 5.5s though.
This might work out pretty well for Saskia Ertinghaus, who has the medal pedigree in these games already. She's 12th. Reverse 2.5 somersault 2.8, and has the opportunity to improve that position. And I think she may well do. Pretty steady. More like her, 57.40. Marina Tomjek maybe just a tad too far back, 21st. Wouldn't presume anything there, but she's got to pull something out here, that's for certain. 2.5, 2.8. Nope, not for her either.
That was her most difficult dive in ratings yet. She's got another, the same difficulty to finish on.
It's like they've hit the wall almost, isn't it, in a marathon race where, you know, you seem to be going along fine, and suddenly the wheels look like they might be coming off a bit. Helen Eck.
Melanek did much better in the platform. Not many athletes at the latter end of junior are doubling up. It's more the younger ones as they're working out what to do. It suits them.
Dominika Back, 14th. Now, she could be one of the beneficiaries. Could be. She's got a 2.8, back 2.5 somersault to negotiate. Tucked. Not really. Again, the entry was the big problem. Although the causes are a little bit earlier in the movement, 33.60. Pikovskaya still getting the applause. The Azeri competitor. She's now up into the 2.8 zone with a back 1.5 somersault, 1.5 twist. Dipped again, 86.40. Kaya Skurshek, without wishing to be negative, one of those positions where poor dive could spoil a lot of decent work. accomplished effort under pressure. Not according to the judges. 5.5. Ekaterina Nekrasova from Russia, 4th. 3.0 this back 2.5 somersault.
She's just not found the form she opened with. Her first 5 compulsory dives were so strong. She does have the advantage. She'll be carrying those marks through to the final later, but she will want to improve on this tonight if she's going to be in with a chance of a medal.
Also, all this is threatening to make this evening's final absolutely fascinating, because the dive order could be all over the place as well. Tuxen. Ranked 17th, in with 2.5, 2.7. That was a right old mess. Never got out of that position. She was still pretty well in a tuck when she hit the water. And completing round 8 of 9. Marita Jusova, 15th. Chance for her to get back on the road. Looks as though she may well have taken that after a bit of a lapse. It's a pretty straightforward 2.4, so it's not going to be a massive points haul, but it might just steady her down. Reasonable marks, 48. Well, you almost daren't look at this leaderboard. 1 round to go. Catherine Torrance it is now who's taken over the lead. The Great British girls going well. Shalustyuk maintaining her position. Polikova slipping a bit. Now here's where it's interesting. Dusova Kokus is there. Ek, look, it's 10 points the gap. The damage may well have been done. Look at those divers, Bart, who've fallen right down the order. 10 points, that's a bit of a gap. So somebody in the top 12 needs to have a disastrous last round for anyone lower to profit. You wouldn't write anything off here, would you? Three hours and 6 minutes since we kicked off. Hannah Roth will be first in for her lunch, if nothing else. Probably needing a bit of refueling. The first 2.5 somersault was worth 2.8. Very hard if you're not going to be in the final, or you're not clinging on to the hope of it, to keep going for your own personal motivation. Catherine Torrance has stolen a march on them all, and Britain has another diver on top in this preliminary anyway. Can she complete her programme with this back 2.5 somersault? Successfully, that is. she's not got too excited. She knows that the final is in the bag, so just come up with something half decent. Half decent, 53.20. Had a good morning though. See you later. Down Skyty, slipping back with the last one from Lithuania.
She looked to recover that well. Her takeoff was a little bit on the dodgy side as her feet made contact for the final time on the board.
Just a 2.4 degree. 43.20, sixes. Caroline Lacoa down in 24th, just to wrap it all up. Years of age, really had quite enough to make it through to a final here. .25 to finish. Julia Rogantin, 16th. Lost her way with the last dive.
A mild improvement, that one.
Pretty mild. Was better, but not by very much. Lydia Rosenthal, third. It's pretty well where she's been, most of it. 2.8 back, 2.5 somersaults. Nicely completed, securely home. She has shown she can hold her nerve. Interesting to see if she's got it in her to push on a bit further in the final. 58.80, sevens safely on board. Very safely. Diana Shelestiuk, second.
We watch the replay and get to see her feet on the board. She is a long way off the end, and as a result of that, there you go, here comes the final push-off. She's really got to move her body position to push herself out to get away from the board.
Came up well short on the board there with those paws, and she doesn't end very encouragingly either. Sam Naji.
One of her tidier dives. She'll be looking to finish on a positive score. See if she can get the best out on her final dive, and she has. It's her best score of the day.
Natasha McManus from the Republic of Ireland. With 2.5 somersault.
she'll be happy to finish on a stronger dive than her penultimate. Give her a bit of confidence to take forward to her next competition.
Well done. Always good to see that. Adeline Kokus. No, she's in 12th place. 2.8 reverse, 2.5 somersault. Needs to get an effective dive in here and clinch her place in tonight's big show. Not really what was needed in the circumstances. Just didn't seem to have enough energy to get through it almost.
That tuck position could have been a little tighter. She didn't have the time to open up to that fully stretched position.
Ran out of steam on that one. Now, anxious wait for her. She might have blown it. Louisa Stauczynski. Silver at 1 metre, gold at 3 metre synchro. 5th here. Had all that excitement yesterday to deal with and come back here and still perform again. Get through qualifying, that's all really matters for her. Everything needs to be right. Unbelievable, the routine. Love to know what was going on inside. Penny for them, as they say. Good, safe dive. Good job. A professional job she's done, you'd say. Maria Boric. For a fairly low tariff dive to end her long morning's work. 50-40, it was quite well executed though. And Vivian Bath left on the dockside watching the boat sail away, I'm afraid.
Seems to have completely lost her confidence. Oh, it must be so difficult for her right now. That dive, 2 dives earlier went wrong, shaking her head. She's just not managed to get it back.
Well, the disappointment was quite tangible in those previous 2 dives, and that's carried right onto that 450 is what does not reflect what she can do. Daphne Vils. They will miss out on a second and final, 15th. Needed something right at the top of her capabilities there. Really get it. No comment required. It's a Janava. Down in 22nd. Very much a final looking dive, that. Katerina Velihurskaya. That terrible dive before. It's a lot better. Well done. She was in with a big chance of the final. At least she's shown that she can battle back.
That is so frustrating for her, though. She was consistently inside the final positions, and even with that strong dive, it's too little, too late.
Maria Polikova just dropped her standards in the last dive. That's a 3.0, forward 2.5, full twist. Okay, but even she has let the strain show, perhaps. Back to base camp for a big rest. Laura Granelli worked her way into the final, 9th, providing. Now pushing her luck a bit. We need the points in the bag she had. 15 years of age. Still a young diver. That could be costly. 25.20. Frida Kalgren. Well, no, it just requires something fairly standard, safe. Back 1.5 somersault, 2.5 twist, 2.8. And back tonight. Decently delivered, good effort. There's a big smile there. Ooh, a big sigh of relief. She's back again, 57.40. Good end. Saiska Ertinghaus. Eighth. 3-meter synchro champion.
Not looking quite as tidy as her performances. She won that gold only less than 24 hours ago.
Should just about be enough, I would have thought. Marina Tomiek. (19th), 2.8 reverse 2.5 somersault. Decent effort too. finish with, dragging up a bit of energy from somewhere.
She's one of those athletes who seems to have saved her best to last.
Just got a bit untidy towards the far end of the dive, but 42 points. Ellen Eck, she was a few points short in 13th. Might have a chance if she really performs this back 2.5 tucked to the top of her ability. Not really.
Well, she was down in 25th, 24th at the midway point. So if she does make the final, that's an incredible comeback.
She just needed a bit more there. Dominika back just a little bit short. 15-year-old from Poland. I'm better at 3 meters than the lower height. First 2.5. It's a bad finish, 2.8. Looking hard to get the legs straight on entry. Okay.
We do seem to be using that phrase for quite a few dives in this final round and the round before.
Yes, anyone who can really get it together here has been rewarded with a place in the final. Olga Bikovskaya for Azerbaijan. Well, she's given the crowd something to get behind, someone to support. Hope she's enjoyed it.
Her third event of these few days. I expect she'll be pretty exhausted from this.
Travelling backwards and forwards to the pool and been in a real world of their own for a few days. Kaya Skirshek on course for the final. First 2.5 somersault. Probably would have enough in the bank. Hopefully doesn't have to rely totally on that. And she's safely to the water. And into the final as well. Katerina Nekrasova from Russia, 6th place. Really dazzled so far. 3.0 to finish. Gives her 58.50. Comfortably home in 5th at the moment. This is Anna Tuxen. Bit of a flat finish for her, 36.40. And at last, just coming up for 3.5 hours of competition, Verita Jusova, 11th. Pretty well across the line. Just as well.
She's just going to make a nervous wait for the final scores after that performance. She didn't have much to spare going into that final dive. See, that's where it goes wrong.
Well, that goes terribly wrong, doesn't it? Ooh, edgy. Ooh, she's missed out. 13th right at the end. Blown it. Oh, that is a disaster for her. Somebody's really profited there. It's the Italian girl, Laura Granelli, who's just crept in. And look at Great Britain there. 1 and 2 at the top. Polikova right behind them. Stalczynski, Nikolasova, Shelestiuk, and McManus of Ireland making it into the final. Boric clambered in, and Granelli gets the last place courtesy of Jusova's mistake. Right until the bitter end, they were still capable of getting it wrong and chucking away the chance. There will be some big disappointments on missing out on tonight.
I think a few surprises as well after that final round.
Very interesting indeed it's going to be for tonight's final, but that is a long haul. And Vivian Bart, who had a really, really desperate dive that cost her. Oh, a mixture of emotions here. What could have been, what should have been, what might still be. Well, this format for the juniors, where they have to compete over such a period of time, really does set some demanding challenges. Big job for the coaches to keep them calm, take them back. Croatia, Maja Boric has a place in the final. Really full day this last day. The women's 3-metre final is tonight. Next up